Are we muted?
Speaker on.
Totally unnerved her, and it was a scary situation. I posted her, got lots of comments, support, and I informed the state police, and they interviewed my daughter.
Guy who's running on Martinsville Road and was approached by a wheeled car. Nelson Goodhue, somebody. Goodhue, somebody.
Oh, I see.
Can you please mute everyone?
Is that playback?
Broadcast.
Should be fine now. Everyone at home has to stay muted until you're asked to speak, please. Thank you.
Okay, let's try again.
Take two.
Take two from the no. Yeah. Right. So.
You spoke with the
State police.
State police.
The day of, thank you. They interviewed my daughter that evening, and that was that. The next day, the 16th, I left a message for our town constable using the phone number that I got from the town website, and to this day, not received any sort of callback. And so my concern is, okay, so I get technology, maybe he didn't get the message, but still, my concern is, who's our go-to in the case of a public safety issue? All the information that we ended up getting ultimately came from various community members who were able to identify this, we think, to the best of our understanding, we think we identified the individual. But all that came from community. None of that came from any official source. And so, state police called, but, who are we supposed to call if there's an issue? And if our town constable isn't sort of the person who sort of sorts through the importance and the dangerousness, who is?
I would like to just say, in the end, it doesn't seem like this person was at all at risk, and that's what we gleaned from community members, and it was reassuring to hear that. But so I just wanted to point that out, like that
Sure.
incident seems to have been resolved favorably, but I just wanted,
No,
yeah.
I hear the angst, and I hear that's a good ending, but you did not know that.
Say that again.
It turns out that there may be a good ending, but you did not know the ending on day 2 of it. We contract with the Vermont State Police. 911 and going to having the state police become involved was the right thing to do. I'm sorry to hear that our constable didn't follow up. I think a courtesy call would have been, at the very least, was needed. And Martin and I can kind of follow up on that.
Yeah. But the state police is your first phone call. That's the first phone call, because the constable is part-time. He now does have a full-time job. So he's not as accessible as he was, but he should have called back. We will follow up on that. But the first line of defense is the state police. Call the state police immediately.
And let me just add, as you may know, we're in a transition phase. As the state police are not able to meet the contracted hours that we have with them. We have signed a contract with them so that we're covered as of July 1st for the new year. We will be forming a committee within town to help with the question of what does safety mean to our community, and use that committee to lead into a townwide meeting to have that same discussion, and then create a needs list of this is what Hartland would like for safety/policing. I'm using the word safety because policing is one aspect of what we're talking about. We may have more requirements than we can afford, but at least we have to flesh out what those requirements are. Some of this work was done years ago, not too far ago, when a decision between the Windsor Police and the state police came up. So we hear the issue. We're very aware of the issue. I don't think any of us sitting here have a solution at this point.
Yeah, no, and we weren't looking for a solution necessarily, just to bring it to your attention. And again, we're not out to crucify anybody. We're just, there's a hole someplace, and we appreciate all the various community members who participated in identifying the individual and whatever. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Dave Singer.
Okay.
Dave Singer.
Okay.
I may have some green light. Wednesday, hosted in our office, is a meeting of the regional police chiefs, the chiefs of police, aware of the situation, well, not just this town, but other towns, to help garner some interest. There's a barbecue for them. I'm not putting on the barbecue, but enough rumor. What they'll come up with, I don't know. But again, this is not a situation that's solely Hartland's problem. And frankly, a lot of people are tired of having a can kicked down the road. There's got to be something done. God knows what could happen the next day, the next week, or maybe nothing major for another year. Something has got to happen, and I credit the chiefs of police because they're taking it upon themselves to come up with something, a plan, which they will bring forward to the towns and see, what do you think, what do you want? And again, you folks know that I'm concerned there's a shooting on my street. I'm concerned because a policeman, our next door neighbor, was broken into, and I'm a worrier. That's the only thing I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
So, in this situation, it calls for Vermont State Police. But do the state police ever connect with our town constable to give them an update, to give them, this is what happened, we're not responding?
I
Is there
don't know.
any communication? Because we just spent $14,000
Sadly, I don't believe so.
on a tool for our constable to have that communication with the Vermont State Police.
Well,
That would be one.
So that radio is for if you pull somebody over and they have an outstanding warrant, they gotta get arrested. That's what that tool's for. That tool's for is to do the job when he's working for the town.
All right, so who does supervise the town constable?
He supervises himself. He's an elected official, and he's only answerable to the public.
That's what I thought, but he doesn't have, in a law enforcement tier, there's no one supervising him?
No, the more we understand of this complex of what's going on between our local municipalities, the state police, the sheriff, the constables, the more loose it feels like. There's really not a lot of connections. So we have some work to do ahead of us as a community.
I think so, I really think so, yeah. we all do, and as a community, we need to really participate in this journey and prioritize what we, use.
Like I said, the law enforcement community itself is trying to work with you folks. And again, I don't mean just this town, other towns. Again, I'll repeat, there is a meeting at our office. I didn't sponsor it, the sheriff's department did, but it's a meeting of local police chiefs.
Yeah, and the New York Times today had an article about within the urban area of the boroughs of New York, how they were trying to address some of the same issues we are with communication and safety, the feeling of safety. So as David is alluding, it's a bigger problem in Hartland, but we have to solve it ourselves. Okay, my other comments were a little more light in nature.
Do we have anybody online that has their hand up?
There's no hands up.
Public comments?
No.
On May the 20th, Hartland Garden Club had a plant sale out here in front of Damon Hall. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank the members of that club and friends of that club for the plantings that they do both here at Damon Hall as well as the library. The second is on Sunday the 21st, the Hartland Historical Society had their annual meeting and a presentation of old photographs of Hartland. It's held here at Damon Hall. I thought it was very well attended, and I certainly learned some more history about our town. Any other public comments?
Well, just to add to that, Bill, just throw out a thank you to the volunteers that put flags on the Veterans Employees Memorial Day.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to see that, and it's good to know that the cemeteries were covered as well. Okay, this evening we are having an information session to enable questions as well as any concerns about the intersection project, which is about to launch. We have created a team that will help the project with the fundamentals of the scope, what is going to be done, how it is done is really at this point. The duration, the time aspect, when it's going to start, hopefully when we'll get it finished, and the cost, keeping track of it. In addition, this team will provide an even more important piece to the community, the communication about the project and how it's unfolding. Martin, our acting town manager, will be the first point of contact for questions. And I hope this evening we'll be able to establish where those questions can be asked and how they can be answered. With us this evening, we have Rita Seto. I had the pleasure of working, as others here, working with Rita, who is a member of the Two Rivers Ottaquechee Planning Commission. She's the Transportation Planning Program and has been with this intersection project for some time, and we are pleased to have her on board. Sitting with Rita is Everett Hammond, who works for GPI. GPI is the firm that will be doing construction inspection and testing. They are basically the engineering firm that will be implementing the project and overseeing the project. I hope I have that correct.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to Martin, to Rita, and to Everett, and look to learn things myself.
All right. Go right ahead.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, welcome, and thank you for having us here. I think it's a momentous day that we are about to embark on the start of the construction of the intersection project. Many of you, we brought some handouts behind you there somewhere in the reference. And for folks that are online, I direct you to the town website. We will try as best as we can to kind of funnel information to the website for folks that can kind of pull that and kind of review at their leisure. So there's quite a lot of things that we can kind of talk about, but I guess before we kind of talk about the actual project that's about to embark, with my time at the Regional Planning Commission, there's definitely been some history with this intersection project, and I did kind of create like a bit of a nice timeline for folks to kind of, you know, for folks that may not have been around or, you know, just kind of talk about like how this project kind of came to be. And so I won't go into super detail, but just kind of like a really quick overview of, you know, where this project kind of initiated from. Obviously, the timeline from 2013 is when the town initially secured a planning grant to kind of initially look at the pedestrian safety of the intersection. I believe even prior to this effort, you know, Bruno Associates with John Bruno, their firm had probably done some initial, you know, engineering or scoping of the area as well. So it's been talked about for quite some time, but the scoping grant, which kind of looked at the intersection and how pedestrian safety was going to be, you know, impacted with the current configuration, was going to, you know, be looked at. So at the end of the scoping study, there were actually 4 alternative configurations, and, you know, a roundabout was one of them. Kind of an interesting like T intersection with a slip lane, but ultimately for the folks that came to the preferred alternatives meeting, folks did feel like a 4-way stop was probably the most simplest and easiest to kind of reconfigure. And so with that, the town decided to move forward with designing the intersection with the 4-way stop. The town did use town funds to kind of spearhead that effort. They hired VHB, the design firm that we have now, to kind of really flesh it out so that it can, you know, make its way into like a construction set of plans. So back in, you know, 2018, the construction of the intersection, the configuration was estimated to be around, you know, $500,000. So in addition to that, obviously with the intersection of the 2 state highways, there's also Peachy Road that kind of comes down into the intersection. And so the town also secured a V-Trans district paving grant that would cover the resurfacing of the local road portion. And then I believe that is when Dave Ormiston, the previous town manager, came in, kind of looking at the, you know, the project scope. There was obviously a sidewalk component, a small sidewalk component, and there was a question of, you know, why has the town not applied for a sidewalk grant through the Agency of Transportation to at least cover some of the costs? And I said, I don't know, but you know, with his authorization, we applied for a sidewalk grant through the Agency of Transportation that would cover the construction part of the sidewalk, which was pretty successful. And then in 2020, we, you know, once COVID hit, that was an interesting time, but as the engineering firm kind of finalized the costs, and we also saw the potential COVID impacts in terms of supply and demand and things like that, we saw there was also, you know, a large gap in terms of the construction, at least for the sidewalk portion. And I believe the town was fortunate enough to be able to apply for a grant enhancement towards the sidewalk construction portion. So we're like, okay, let's, we're pretty much ready to go. But then also, back in 2020, I believe there was an initiative through the town to, recommend burying the utilities as well. So before that, the design was just reconfiguring the intersection and not touching the utilities. But as you all know, back in August 2020, the town voted by a 2/3 majority to bury the utilities and secure a bond to assist with covering the cost of that. So 2021, we spent the year kind of coordinating with the 5 different utilities, which is quite a feat in itself. And then we finally, as you're aware, last year we tried to go out to bid to construction back in March. It was a very tumultuous time, I guess you could say, in the construction world to go out to bid. And so that bid was not successful, and so we decided to re-advertise this year, which we're all familiar with, and we were very successful to secure a contractor bid for pretty close to the cost estimate of the engineering firm. So here we are. We're pretty much on board. And we have the contractor on board, we have our construction inspection team on board, and we are pretty much ready to go. So as we kind of focus on the details of the construction project, oh, yes? Jim?
Sorry, Director. Just a quick question on the 2020 sidewalk grant.
Yep.
See, you said it's 125,000. When I went back and looked at the VHB cost estimate from December, they had it listed at 100,000.
Right, so the 100,000 and then plus the match. So so the 80% is we were awarded 100,000 and then the 20%, which is 25%.
So it's the town matched.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
So we have the variable message boards already placed on all 3 legs of the state highway, kind of informing folks that work is to begin on Monday. We're just finalizing right now. Everett is just reviewing the final submittals of the contractor, just making sure everything will be approved. And we could probably issue a notice to proceed later this week. So the contract will be kind of ready to go. So I take a few minutes, a pause if you have any questions right now before I kind of go into the details of the project.
I think the last time you came and spoke to us, you were waiting for the traffic control plan.
Yes.
That's all.
That's done. Yep, they submitted a traffic control plan. It was reviewed and commented by V-Trans. And so Everett, when they start construction, we will make sure all those recommended comments and changes will be implemented.
Thank you.
So, all right. So I have a copy of the plans, very abbreviated, and I would like to talk about page 2 right here. You can kind of see page 2. Yeah, the second page. Yeah. I think that'll be the best page to kind of focus on. So you can kind of see in the dark lines, what the new configuration will be. And very slightly, the dotted lines, if you can kind of see through them, is the existing configuration of the intersection. So actually, let's kind of start at the southern end. So I believe the contractor will start at the southern end near Mike's store. The first item will be actually trenching the ground so they can start burying the utilities. But they will, for the entire intersection on all legs, they will have flaggers and one-lane traffic, alternating traffic, just so that everybody is clear. So that's kind of the first leg, or the first phase. The second phase is actually going to be the northeast quadrant. The Dunn's property, or Mr. Dunn's property, and Mr. Tom White's property. And then the third quadrant is actually going to be the Damon Hall quadrant, the northwest. The fourth quadrant will actually be by the BGS market and the bank. And then the final quadrant that they will work on and kind of close up will be the new green. So they're gonna keep the green or the slip lane open for pretty much the entire intersection until they can kind of, finalize the different quadrant new curbing and use the slip lane to help with, traffic control and alternating traffic. So that'll be the last piece to kind of close up so that the new intersection will be completed, and then they can work internally on like landscaping and the new sidewalk pieces. So that's kind of in general what the proposed phasing of the project will be.
So, excuse me, Rita.
Yep.
So what's the extent of the burying of the power lines and so on for people?
Sure.
Just generally speaking, if we could just use landmarks.
Oh, sure. So, okay, I'm in here. So they will be removing the pole in front of the bank and the one pole that's like on the intersection in the middle of the road. So basically they will be trenching from the bank to the green, and that will be underground. And so you'll see a lot of Green Mountain Power trucks in the last couple of weeks. I believe they're just making sure that their current poles will be adequate for when they have to move the lines to the new ones, and making sure, as well as the telecom communication lines will be able to be moved as well.
So it was on the listserv, I think a week and a half. There was a new pole that was put in that was very tall. There's been a lot of speculation about why that's there. Can you tell us why that new pole is in place?
The one by the post office.
By the post office?
So I believe they are, and actually, if you...
I can answer that.
Oh, go ahead.
Dan emailed me on that because I asked that question.
Perfect, thank you.
So BG's is not gonna have their wires underground. So that new pole, so the wires are gonna be buried at the green space, gonna go under the road, come up the pole, and go to the mall. So that's why that pole has been put there. And the new pole in front of Damon Hall, I believe it was just upgrading the pole, and all that's hanging on it is a light, the street light.
And I believe also, as we kind of switch to utilities, I believe there have also been questions about the tree species.
Yes.
Yep. So back on that second page there, in the top left corner, you can kind of see the list of deciduous trees. So these species, we have Sienna Glen Maple, Spring Snow Crab Apple, and a Greenspire Little Leaf Linden. And so we also have some quantities as well that will be throughout the project for each type. So these species had been identified and selected by VHB's landscape architect, and they've also been reviewed and approved by the V-Trans landscape architect. Just so you know, because most of this project is in the state right-of-way, the Agency of Transportation has a street tree policy, and they have guidance on the types of species of plants that are going to be in the state right-of-way for site distance and maintenance purposes. So, so that had been approved through the Agency of Transportation.
Rita, in the new green space there on the southeast corner, if I'm correct. Two AF, is that the pedestal that's going to be?
No, so 2AF, I think it looks like it says there will be 2 Sienna Glen maples.
Okay, then is there just one pedestal for the utilities?
So at the moment, and you were present at the utility coordination meeting, after much coordination with the utility, specifically with the telecom utilities, VTEL, Comcast, and First Light, they feel like with the pedestal, they're not all gonna fit in that. So they have asked for vaults instead. So it will be underground in the green space, and actually we feel like the vaults will be on the left side of that sidewalk path in the green.
Okay.
To make, because each telecom needs to have their own vaults. That's gonna be 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. Because all the wires are gonna be trenched in the green, they need that, the vault space in order to fit each set in the green so that they can then pull out and then service the surrounding properties.
A vault with hatches or?
Yes, they'll have like a manhole cover to access it from the top, but it won't, what's nice is like, it won't impact like the green space, like a pedestal, which is like above ground.
Right.
So.
But there'll be hatches there.
Correct. Yeah. And so with that, our current designer is, is gonna be reconfiguring the landscape plan, now that, they're gonna move the trees around just to make sure that it'll still, fit okay. So yeah, you can kind of see, the new curbing that will be in place, as well as the crosswalks. It should make for a much safer crossing environment for the village, and a brand new green space for the community to kind of enjoy, as well as, a 4-way stop, so you're not gonna have to look at the seven different stop signs and depending on which leg that you're coming in, and be a really beautiful gateway into the community. So
the other commonly asked question is, where's the soldier going?
the soldier is going. So right now, so back on that same page, you can kind of see in the quadrant, there's like a square with the dark dot.
That's what I figured it was. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
I believe, and I don't know the history of the discussion of that final location. I was not involved in the discussion beforehand. I think that might have been during Bob Stacy's tenure of when they were kind of discussing where the monument should be relocated. But again, that location has also been approved by V-Trans Historic Preservation. So that day when they actually move the monument, the contractor will have a crane. All the V-Trans folks will be coming down. We'll probably come down as well, just to kind of witness the relocation of the monument. So.
Dumb question. And there will be insurance in case of an accident?
Yeah, the contractor has their insurance requirements.
And the historian from the state will be here that day also.
Correct. They will be required to take photos beforehand to document the existing conditions, and then once they relocate it, they'll take photos afterwards to just kind of compare and see if hopefully there aren't any damages and stuff. So we hope it'll be a very smooth move.
Will you be talking about traffic flow into the market and bank area?
Sure. So in terms of the construction operations, Monday to Friday, 7 to 5. And at the end of the day, all the cones and things like that will be kind of cleared. And we'll, resume the two-way traffic until the following morning, when the contractor will set up their traffic control plan depending on, what phase they're at. And obviously when they switch quadrants or phases, we will make sure to kind of announce that and make sure, new traffic pattern or, depending on what that might be.
Would be a question later.
Rita, I'm not understanding this section here. You've got a green space. Is Route 5 going to move a little bit towards the triangle to give a green space by the building? And they look like parking spaces. So where's the building?
So the building is right here. Oh, sorry.
The building is where? Back here?
It's right here.
Back here?
The building is right here.
Right here?
Yeah.
And these are parking spaces?
They will be parking spaces. So we're basically closing up the pavement to come in. It's coming into where the current triangle is, right?
This is the triangle.
No, the monument.
Oh, yeah.
This is the monument.
And this is
This is the old one?
Right.
Oh,
So the monument is over here.
yeah.
And then what used to be sort of the travel way as you're going north on Beachy Road, that it's really narrow.
So the building is back here. This is the.
Yeah, we're not moving the building.
I was gonna say, I don't see a building
Right, big activity in the building. I believe that would be very likely.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah, they're only removing 2 poles. So one here, they will remove everything else will remain.
For clarification, these power poles,
Yeah, no, so those are conduit lines.
okay.
Yes. They're actually 18-inch drainage, catch basins.
Catch basins.
Thank you, sorry. So Everett will be our resident engineer. He will be on the ground every day, working with the contractor and providing daily reports about what they did and just ensuring that they're compliant with what's in the plans. And then he's also reached out to the immediately impacted abutters in the area. Martin has given us phone numbers and he's called them and left messages.
Well, some.
Well, some.
Some ring, and no answer, but I will be catching up to him. So I won't be here really until Wednesday. I'm meeting with the contractor to kind of get a better sense. He's going to have more time put into the thought process, exactly what's going to happen. He definitely is starting by lights. The first thing that's going to happen is 2 catch basins that go toward, there's 2 by the library at the entrance, because they're the deepest. They're going to put those in first, then the electrical conduits, and the other conduits are going to head up toward the green area.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Excuse
Can
me?
you speak up? The acoustics are terrible.
Oh, okay, he'll head up, so basically starting down toward Mike's, heading up through. They're gonna keep that slip leg open to the north of Route 5 as long as possible. It won't be probably to the very end, but that's what I'm gonna find out on Wednesday. And I'll let you know, I think it's gonna be 9 o'clock, you just get a text confirmation, they can make it. So with that, there's a lot of stuff that's gotta happen, but they wanna be efficient. And a lot of that's like, it will be some subcontract work. It could be, I don't know if you remember maybe it was 2 years ago now when Hartford did the roundabout. That got delayed because of granite contractors and I think sidewalk contractors. Those basically are the same people they're using. So hopefully, they're great contractors or subcontractors and hopefully that's not gonna be the problem. But he's gotta keep things moving. to make sure everything goes as
They're
smoothly
all
as
gonna work
possible.
at the intersection simultaneously so that, you know,
Yeah.
we can move forward.
Well, we'll see how, you know, they're gonna put together a plan on that, so it may not be exactly all like quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then close it up, but the leg will be open for probably 4 or 5 weeks anyway, that slip leg. And then, they'll move forward from there. And we will be doing, to Martin, weekly, so basically I'll have probably a Thursday project meeting, and then from Thursday, we'll put together a sense of what's gonna happen the week after, that'll go out on a Friday sometime.
And so I'll be sending out the weekly reports to Martin to post on the website. And also, if there is interest, if there are interest for you to be on a direct email from my distribution, I've kind of generated a list of that. Like, so for, you know, agency of transportation, the project team, immediate abutters. But if you are interested in getting a direct weekly email, please let Martin know, and then he can forward that contact to me.
Everett, you just raised a yellow flag for me. I feel this summer that the quality of the flaggers that are working around the Upper Valley has well, it's never been great, but I was driving on Route 4 and, you know, there was construction vehicles and there's just no flagger there, you know, and I'm like poking around saying, okay, we'll go. The yellow flag you raised is when you said there would be multiple subcontractors and you hinted that they always don't work well together or aren't available or something. But who's in charge of the subcontractors if we only have one flagging team? You know, are they going to be in sync so that the community is safe?
It's all Knox Construction, so we have a contract with Knox Construction.
Sure, I understand that.
And they're in charge of all that.
Right.
And Knox will be in charge of the flagging.
And they've also ensured they will have enough flaggers to cover all of the intersections as per the traffic control plan.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, there won't be unattended legs of traffic, so,
okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Dave?
Without wanting to be too vociferous about it, I live on Turkey Road. I came in the other day, there's a flag at the bottom of my street. She didn't look in my direction. I know it was a she or a guy from here, it's hard to tell, is that nonetheless, smoking a cigarette. You know, we used to certify, I was with the sheriff's department, we used to certify in order to be a flag. You can't have flaggers smoking and not paying attention. That's my only access. I can confine myself to a yard on my property, but I don't feel like if one of you can speak to them and say, you know, there are some rules of the road that you guys are here for your safety.
Definitely, the traffic flagging certifications, there are, you know, basic rules of, you know, you always need to be aware of your surroundings.
You can't smoke, even on your break you can.
Right. And that will be the contractor to enforce. Yeah. Jim?
Hopefully an easy question. The catch basins,
Yep.
where do they drain to?
Let's see. So I believe, I think on page 4, can I see the utility work? I'm not sure where the rest of it goes, but it would be in the state.
And that goes down to the parking lot.
Oh,
Exactly where it outlets.
right.
You're looking at this one here.
Which parking lot to the, oh, by there.
Yeah, so right through here, here's the green area, the new green. And it's actually heading down through here.
But we don't, is that an existing?
Existing, so this is all existing here. There is some new drainage work going on. That's the salt.
So I'm just kind of curious as to what the destination is.
Right. No change in destination.
So I feel.
So I think that's all that Everett and I have at this point.
I have reached out to the state police for support on Martinsville Road as the project starts next week. And they are going to try and have an officer there because with school going on, to make sure people stay going slow. Bill and I have ordered signs, no through traffic on Martinsville, Rice Road, Bischoff, and
You mentioned Gilson.
Gilson, that's the other one, Gilson. We're going to try and keep traffic down. Unfortunately, we know how box trucks and GPS goes. The Lindenville Bridge has been hit twice. We're doing our best to make sure that it doesn't happen. There's only so much we can do, but we have done that. We have straightened the sign on Martinsville Road for the weight limit, was leaning way over. It is now up nice and straight. We are very nervous about Martinsville Road. We have looked into it as deep and as best as we can do. If there is issues, please just give me a call. Just give me a call, send me an email. We'll see what we can do.
Duration of construction?
So I believe their initial project schedule is to, beginning of September. That was, from the today's start date, so it might be shifted to middle of September.
Should be about right.
Yeah.
So I guess, I haven't been in town today, but the sign was saying June 5th, it obviously didn't
It's
start.
changed.
So we did
Yeah.
change it, right?
I think we all have Martin today.
I saw him up there with tape.
I heard when the local kids dial into it.
So, I mean, the most challenging part will be for the contractor to trench and burn the utilities. That'll be kind of the biggest lift, I think, at the start of the project, just making sure all the utilities are, have their blessing of what's been trenched in the ground before they kind of cover it up. And then it'll be, the intersection curbing and creation. What's nice is we're taking away pavement. So, we're just gonna kind of close it up. Their curbing contractor and other excavation ones should be pretty, this is a fairly, I won't say small project, but the area is fairly small. So it won't take them terribly long to kind of like create the new intersection. So, and then obviously you'll have like landscaping, the pouring of the concrete for the sidewalks, and then finally the nice smooth paving and the new pavement and the markings, and the trees to be inserted in the green. So this, hopefully it'll be great for, in the fall for the community to enjoy a little bit before the snow flies. So.
You want to talk about 4th of July?
Yes, 4th of July. The contractor said they would remove all their equipment for the 4th of July off-site. So 4th of July will go on as normal. Obviously the road will be covered, but down the dirt at some places. But as far as equipment and them, you won't even know they were here.
Parade route is the same.
Parade route's the same, nothing's changing. The vendors, everything right out behind the wreck. Parade route's gonna come right down Main Street. They can either go up Queechee Road or Route 5 South, or, yes.
And they originally thought they would store the equipment down by the Red Barn, and we said no to that. That would really need all that space for old home days. So, not quite.
So then you won't even know they were here.
I think we have a couple of online questions.
Yeah, 2 hands up.
All right,
We have
let's go with Chuck first.
Chuck first, because he was first.
Yes, hello. My name is Chuck Fenton. And my question is referring back to what Rita was talking about a moment ago about the utilities and the primary contractor. And my question is, are the utilities, the 4 utilities, are they contractors or are they subcontractors on the project?
They are neither. The utilities are working in partnership with the contractor. Because, you know, the contractor is not, they're not subs under the contractor. They're just standalone organizations, but we are in partner coordination with the 4 of them.
But my understanding is they're being paid by the town of Hartland and they're doing work for the town of Hartland. So are they contractors to the town of Hartland? How does that work?
So the town is paying for the utility work in conjunction with the intersection project. Knott's does not have, I would say oversight, is that the word? Yeah. Oversight of the utility companies. I would say we are partners. The town is paying.
The utilities providing a service.
Providing a service, and the town is paying separately for their service to make this trenching and burying happen. If that makes sense.
So they are contractors to the town. I mean, these are independent operators, so they must be contractors that are working for the town doing this project. Is that correct?
Just be a terminology issue. I mean, the town is going to sign a contract with the utilities to provide a service to the
Correct. Yeah.
So I guess my final question.
So there's no double market.
No.
Contractors would be a double market in this case because we're paying the utilities separately as well as there'd be a single markup with that.
Correct.
Did that answer your question, Chuck?
Well, I couldn't understand the last response. I think it was from David.
Yeah, Chuck, what I'm saying is if you go contract to subcontract, you create an additional set of markups, which is not the case. It's town to contractor, town to subcontractor, in some cases, not all the cases. So I think we're moving to try to keep the double markets in control as much as possible. Is that a fair statement? Again, I'm very open to criticism.
So they are a separate contractor to the town.
Can I piggyback on that just for a second?
Yeah.
Have we signed, has the town signed contracts with all the relevant utilities?
Yes, so VTEL, Comcast, and First Light contract I have. VTEL and Comcast have emailed me that they're going to get it to me, and I emailed them a second time, and they're still going to get it to me.
Consolidated, they're not doing any work.
Nope.
Yeah, so there's no contract with Consolidated. Yeah.
So it sounds like we still have a couple of time.
Correct.
Okay.
So I guess the conclusion to my question then is if these are contractors and it is a considerable amount of money, was that competitively bid, please?
With the contract with the utilities?
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
It's a single utility check or multiple standalone utilities. It's not a bid situation.
Right.
Well, all of those utilities use subcontractors to do work for them. For example, VTEL, we all know that VTEL uses subcontractors, and we've all seen during storm response that GMP uses subcontractors. So I guess my question is, was their requisitions competitively bid?
Not as
I
part
think we
of
can
this.
answer, right, for what the utilities did in terms of how they
Correct.
staffed the project.
That is not part of our oversight for this particular project and the funding source. So the utilities are their own separate entity, and they staff at their own rate and provide equipment at their own, cost as a service to the town.
And do they own their own lines?
Yeah.
So they are the ones that have that decision-making abilities, correct?
Yeah.
You hear that, Chuck?
Well, yes, I did, but I just don't understand how that necessarily means that there couldn't be a competitive process. In other words, you're just taking each utility, you're taking them at their word that that's the cost that they need to have to do the work.
And that's why they're called oligopolies. We have no control over what they do. They determine.
Thank you.
What's the other question?
Thank you. Ellen?
Hello.
Good evening.
Yeah, I have two questions, and it's about the library, access to the library. Will there be any closings or no access to the library? And number two, if there are, has the library staff been informed of those dates of any no access to that location?
Thank you, Helen. So for the entire project, all businesses and all accesses will remain open and accessible to all traffic. If there is a certain closure that's needed that will be blocking a certain driveway, the contractor will let Everett know, and we will inform the property owner as needed. The closure won't be, like a very long duration.
What's a very long duration? Is it like a day or whatever? Because the library has things that are planned and scheduled for kids all through the summer. Plus the food shelf, kids grab and go, is on the library shelf. And I just was interested in knowing if there will be no access to it.
No, there will unlikely be any closure to the library road or to, the driveway accesses, especially with the library, because the contractor is starting at that end of the project. So once they're done burning utilities and things like that, they're gonna move up into the intersection. I don't believe there are any anticipated closures for the access to the library.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the queue?
Anybody else?
Nope, no hands up.
Rita and Everett, the question that I hope you can use your experience to answer. We all know that phases of the project start like where we are now. We've done a lot of planning, a lot of debate on the expense, but we're all believing that we're going to hit all the milestones and life is going to be great. There won't be much dust and there will be no delays. How do we maintain communication to the town when things may, we may get into the heat of July or August and things may not be on schedule and so on? But what's your experience about keeping that level of communication going?
Can we jump into that?
Sure.
I think we'll start off with the weekly, I think by staying weekly, and then they're actually developing already a project schedule list. We're looking for something more, a complete breakdown, which I should be getting this Wednesday. Something a little bit more elaborate. It's probably nothing that we'll share, at that point with everybody, only because no one can make a schedule that's gonna stick, for the whole project. So certain things do happen, certain things have to change, which we'll be modifying as they go. But so we can modify that, and they've got a deadline. Doesn't mean because this says early September. I mean, I'm not sure, do you know offhand, it's October, the deadline maybe?
Substantial completion in the contract is October 15th.
So they really could go to October 15th and still be within the contract.
Right.
Other than that, there's liquidated damages after the 15th.
Right. But I think, from what I understand, they have other jobs after us. So I think it would be in also their best interest to stay on schedule if they can then move on to their other scheduled jobs.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work lined up,
Yeah.
so they don't wanna waste time here, you know, they
Right,
wanna be
they
efficient.
wanna get in, do the job correctly, and, you know, finish up.
And one other thing I could say, or add to this, I mentioned to you guys earlier, it's probably a good thing it was bid when it was bid. Because right now, they would probably not even think about this job if it was on the street right now to bid on. They've got that much lined up. But they're local, they're a good local company. You know, just next town up Hartland. You know, if you go to Lebanon, you'll see them all over the place in Lebanon. I think they're probably in White River right now as well somewhere.
We got a question over here. Sure.
Weather conditions, what would stop the project for the day, you know?
Oh, yeah, hard rain would stop it, a light rain would not stop it, depends what's going
Thunder and
on.
lightning?
Yeah, probably would slow it down for a little bit. Usually you don't get thunder and lightning all day long.
Right.
It's not usually a quick thunder shower going through, so that probably wouldn't stop it for the day. It'd be more of a heavy rain, something northeastern storm coming up through.
Winds?
Irene, Hurricane Irene probably would stop it.
Wind, I was gonna say winds. Yeah.
Wind, well, a
Well,
little, if they're
It
getting ready
depends
to
on like
set.
what they're doing,
Yeah, if they're
right?
getting ready to move the structure on the day with heavy rains, probably they're not gonna, I'm sure they're not gonna do it. Or even set some of the vaults on a heavy rainy day.
Right.
Rainy, windy day.
And I believe school, the Hartland Elementary School's last day is the
The
14th.
14th.
Wednesday.
14th, yes.
Yeah.
And I've made communications.
With the school.
Yes.
Great, okay,
Yes, she did.
good. Any questions, Chris? Any additional questions or?
And again, I'll maintain continuous communication with Martin every day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day,
And our
whatever is
website,
needed.
our
So-
website is as up to date as it's gonna be. Please spread the word that the website is up to date as best as can be. If you're watching this, sir, you notice I've been on it quite a bit in the last few days about the project. Just be patient, that's all we ask.
And my office will be downstairs, actually.
Yes,
So-
Everett will be on site.
Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Everett.
Thank you.
Why don't we take just a few minute break before we get into the next business? Okay, are we back?
We're back.
Okay. The next item of business is the budget update. Martin?
Yes. All right, so we'll start with the general fund revenue.
Hold on one second, Mark, can you just grab it?
Yes, yep, that's fine.
Okay, we set?
So the general fund revenue, on page 1, if you look down at the ARPA transfer in, that's the money we transferred in this year from the ARPA funds for our payroll. If you take that $1,048,000 out of the total general fund revenues of $3,067,169, it leaves us about $40,000 more than what we expected to collect this year, unaudited at this point. Any questions on the revenue side? General fund expenses, as you can see, we have stayed pretty much right in budget through the end of May. We're at 92%. On page 10 of 10, you'll see.
Hold on.
Yep. Sorry. I can go through each department, but they're all pretty well on budget, except the library is over budget.
Okay.
Page 10 of 10, you'll see the transfer out to the bridge fund was one of the articles at the town meeting. I made that entry. You'll see a transfer out for 3 corners. So the bond money came in the 2022 fiscal year. The auditors realized that about when we were balancing out at the 9th hour. So we left it in the general fund for 2022. Fiscal year 2023, which we're in, I made up Fund 44, the 3 Corners project. I have transferred the money out of the general fund, so it showed as a surplus last year, so this year it'll show as a deficit, but it's really not, and put it into Fund 44, the 3 Corners project. So all the income we get from 3 Corners goes into this fund. All the expenses come out of this fund. So we can quickly track the expenses or the income for the 3 Corners project. So it won't get commingled in the general fund and we have to go looking for numbers. So that's why that's on there. If you take that out, at the end of May, we are at 91% of the 92% budget. So we are on track as far as the general fund expenses. At the end of this fiscal year, I expect the general fund to be 1% below the 100. Well, I expect it to be at 99%. I'm expecting the general fund to have about a $15,000 to $18,000 surplus. So between the revenues and the general fund expenses, my guess, unaudited at this point, is about $50,000. It could be less, it could be more, but that's my best guesstimate at this point.
Martin, I got a question. Was the 35K for the bridge fund?
It's Article 4 or 5.
Was that the only article?
No, so I just did the transfer for the culvert fund for $100,000 in the month of June.
Okay.
That was Article 8, I think.
Even with that $100,000 transfer?
So that's the surplus from last year. So that's not the surplus in 2023, that's the 2022 surplus.
Yeah. Agreed. So it's not really an expense.
That's correct.
It's fun, it's money in the bank.
It's in the fund, it's in the general fund, yes.
Not an expense to the.
So it's coming out of the general fund going to the culvert fund.
Yeah.
So just from one fund to another fund.
So 3 Corners, Bridge Fund and Culvert Fund are not expenses for this year, they're just internal transfers from one account to another.
That's correct.
Okay. I think I got it.
So, I call these enterprise funds. How many enterprise funds do you have, different funds? Do you have a lot?
40, 42.
Oh, you do, so that's how you track it?
Yep. Everybody okay with the general fund?
Yep.
So we'll go to the highway fund. if you look at the highway fund revenue, I believe we're $7,200 over. The state of Vermont paid a little extra this year. So as you can see, we're just shy, a little over $7,000 in revenue over on the highway fund. The highway department, I expected a bigger deficit. I'm expecting probably a $25,000 deficit in the highway fund. I was expecting it to be more. The winter didn't cost us as much as we budgeted, and we haven't spent as much out of the summer budget. So I'm expecting a smaller deficit than I planned for the highway fund through the end of the year.
You said you're expecting
a deficit
of 100K.
I was expecting it to be close to 80,000, but I think it's only going to be about 20,000.
Only 20.
Yep, that's my best guesstimate at this point.
Does that reflect the purchase of the new trucks? Or?
Yep, well, that comes out of the equipment fund.
Okay.
The new truck comes out of the equipment fund.
So,
And,
okay.
no, go right ahead.
So you have a 20K deficit.
Yes.
Would that mean that you transfer $20,000 less into the equipment fund this year?
So if you go to page 2 of 3 in the highway expenses, you'll see we have the equipment fund. So on the left, we budgeted $312,000. Of that 312, 155,693 we want to go to the equipment fund. So that leaves the difference to spend through the fiscal year. The problem is we spent more than what we expected. So I'm expecting a transfer to the equipment fund of about $106,000 to $12,000 instead of $155,000. Because we've spent $185,340, and the $155 would be more than the $312.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting by the time we get through diesel this month, I'm expecting them between $106,000 and $112,000 to go to the equipment fund this year.
But that's how you zero out that's how you get the budget.
Correct.
On your highway.
Yes. Yep.
Do we purchase anything else this year besides the pickup truck?
No, we've purchased nothing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So now Jim sent me an email with 3 bullet points on it. The equipment fund, I put in 2 sheets, one audited equipment fund and one unaudited. So you can see at the end of the fiscal year 2022, it was audited 2/31/884/01. No, I'm sorry, the 2 should be the 2. We started this fiscal year at 272,366.22. We bought a truck for $64,000 basically. I'm anticipating revenues of $106,000. I think it's going to be a little more than that, but I'm a little on the conservative side because I'm not sure what June's going to cost. So I expect the equipment fund to be $314,000 unaudited at this point. I'm expecting to buy a $200,000 truck, 6-wheeler, all-wheel drive. So that's going to bring it.
FY24 or FY23?
24. They won't have it in time for 23. So it's going to hit the 24, FY24. So that's how I end up with the equipment fund like that. And then Jim sent another email about, during the budget process, of all the trucks that we've purchased. So I didn't get it to you folks in time, my apologies. So this truck that we bought was slated for FY24, we just bought it in FY23. So you can see how we had it spread out.
So that's the 1 ton for 80,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So you can see we had it set for next fiscal year. We did it this year because the 2 trucks they were driving just weren't safe. They just weren't safe. The sheet behind it will show you the vehicles that we have purchased over the last 7 years.
So we delayed the grader, we delayed the 6-wheeler, and we had another pickup truck scheduled for next year already.
Right, so I bought it this year instead,
You bought the 1 ton or?
the 1 ton.
Right, so there's another pickup truck slotted for next year before.
That, it's slotted there, Bill and I are still in discussions over it, if we need another truck. I'm not sure if we need another truck or not.
Oh,
I know we got rid of 2 for 1, but I don't know if they need another truck.
yeah, no, it's not. The grader though, is the grader in the cards next to you?
No, 26 would probably be the earliest for the grader. Unless it has detrimental issues, I think it's okay at this point. But, so next year, we have the all-wheel drive. Next year, I also have a 10-wheeler, and the following year is a 10-wheeler. So we have a 6-year extended service plan on the 10-wheelers. If we trade them in the 5th year, they give us an extra $40,000 trade-in value. So those are slated over the next 2 years.
I think, you know, and it's up to you, Bill, but I think the plan was to have a second grader.
Yes, so we've talked about buying a used second grader, correct?
Yeah, so that's the purchase we've delayed.
Yes, that's correct.
You swap.
So that's here.
To buy a second grader for $75,000 to $100,000 and have 2 road graders, that's correct.
So that the highway team think they're good with waiting another year for them?
At this point, yes, because I'm down on the 2.
Okay.
So yes, I think we should wait at least till next year and put it back on the discussion for next year.
I'm not on my lead with this question, but do we really need 10-wheelers with our back roads? It's an awful big truck.
It is a big truck. They say it's more efficient.
Not having to go back to get more
Correct.
material.
Right. They can carry more material, they can carry more sand in them.
Are those ones, this may sound silly, but are those ones like different 4-wheel drive versus?
There's only one all-wheel
It's all,
drive.
it's all the same.
Yep, the rest are rear-wheel drive. So I think the equipment fund, Jim, is on track.
Yeah.
I think we're okay.
Are you saying the useful life, excuse me, is 5 years, approximately, for a 6 or a 10-wheeler, what is it, about 5 years of useful life? Or am I wrong?
What's that?
The useful life that we think is safe to operate for either a 10 or a 6-wheel is about 5 years, am I correct?
8, 10, you can get 8-10 years out of them because we don't put a lot of miles on them, but the problem is, so when we traded in 2018, we got $35,000 for a 7 or 8 year old 10-wheeler. We put a 6-year warranty on it, we're going to get $80,000 for trading in the 5th year. For $7,000, so the extended service plan costs $7,000, but we're going to get $45,000 more for trading. Because they can sell that truck with a warranty.
Yeah. That's what I wasn't sure, was there a fixed warranty or was it a choice of warranty?
No, you add the warranty after the fact.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, we bought the pickup truck that was slated for FY '24.
Correct.
Are you now going to be moving into FY '24 things that were in FY '25? Because the way I read this right now, all there is $45,000 for the form pickup.
Right, so all we're looking at is the $200,000 for the all-wheel drive 6-wheeler.
And
That's gonna be my only purchase in '24 at this point.
Okay, so where is that on the list? That's what I'm asking. Is that the 150,000?
Yeah, no, those are the 2 10-wheelers. Oh, it's the 6-wheeler, yes, so 6-wheeler is the $80,000.
No, 200,000.
200,000.
200,000,
It's right
sorry,
below the
200, come to the left.
Here.
Yep,
I see, so you deferred this, so now this is
because
going
the truck's
here.
not, right, the truck's not here yet, so that's gonna end up in '24, that's correct. I've been asking Bill about it, and it's not in yet.
That's a truck that's been ordered.
I don't know that answer.
Okay.
I know he's working with ATG, and ATG, our salesman knows what we need, and when we need it, so he usually has it ready for us.
This is very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if we don't need another pickup, we'll cut back on budget.
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, we really, it's only 5,000 difference, right?
Well, we're gonna fund it less than we said we would.
I couldn't hear you, what's that?
So I said, I think if you don't really need a second pickup truck, you're pretty much back on budget.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yep.
But I guess the real question is, does the highway crew need a grader? Does that?
A second grader?
Make
Right.
road maintenance easier in the summertime?
Right, that's what we gotta, I'll make sure we start talking about that.
All right, well, that's great, appreciate all this.
Absolutely.
This info.
Does the new truck come with a standard factory warranty, years and miles? So the truck comes with a 3-year, 36-mile bumper to bumper. Does not include brakes, maintenance items. It comes with a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain. Powertrain is internal parts of the motor, internal parts of the transmission. Alternator is not covered. Air conditioner is not covered, stuff like that. So with that kind of warranty, I don't feel the need, we need to buy an extended warranty. Everything's covered. Because the truck, it's a 2-door truck, it has automatic windows, door locks and all that, so it doesn't have many fancy stuff above and beyond that would go. The main brain's covered under the warranty. So I think, and the turbo would be covered because it's part of the internal engine. So I believe it's all set the way it is. What is the total deficit? And I went over the deficit, what I believe is going to be set for and that's all I have on the budget update. Any questions?
Thank you.
Clyde, you all set?
Seems to be.
Okay. Phil, it's all yours. Thank you, board.
Thank you. No, it's great, Mark, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for. Okay, going on to old business, which the two blend together. But we're talking about the town manager position, both a discussion on how to do the search and what resources to use, as well as the job description. Possibly we need the first discussion to be a job description before we consider a recruiting firm. Jim has sent a few materials that are in the packet. I mentioned to him that he sent out some information that I didn't see until 4 o'clock today, so I didn't really read it. I did print it out and bring it with me, but
so I can give you a quick lowdown. So so you got the job description with some markups on it, right?
Which one are we talking about?
The email I had sent previously that's in the packet. Okay, right. Was the original job description with some additions that were highlighted in yellow. I had sent that to VLCT probably about 2 weeks ago to get their input. Jill was on vacation. She responded today, and she sent some additional disclaimers to put at the end of your job description. She made some, kind of wording changes. I don't remember the exact words offhand, but words that were more appropriate. And she added some information about developing a performance evaluation process. So I reviewed her changes today. They all were very logical and made sense, right? So I sent you her original that she sent with her notes and comments. And then I took those changes, incorporated them into the master, and sent you a clean master with no markup as well. Okay. But the bottom line is it's VLCT reviewed, and her changes have been incorporated.
That was sent out today.
Yeah, I just got it this morning. In the job description, we can continue to modify if we need to at a later date.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that a strong candidate would write a cover letter to the job description, tying their skills to what we lay out as the job description.
Right.
So we'd like to get it as close to, you know, what we feel is correct. Okay, make sure I'm looking at the right one. So Jim, the one we should be looking at has a subtitle updated June 5th.
Today's June 5th, so that would have been the one I sent today. That has all of Jill's corrections in it. The one sent previously, the single select board packet, is just as good if you assume that Jill's corrections are sound.
Okay, colleagues, how do we tackle this?
I didn't see this email, so I'm just kind of zipping through.
I can give you a quick rundown of what her changes were, if that's helpful. They weren't that many.
So I think I have a slightly different approach. So I don't think that a job description that we have associated with the job advertisement necessarily is going to be what we have to be, I don't want to say stuck with it. That shouldn't be necessarily the final draft. The other thing is, we're going to have a contract with the new town manager, and so you can get, we can get into more discussion. I mean, there is going to be a certain degree of discussion regarding what we want this person to do and what they think they want to do and the like. So I think that trying to sort of get a final draft of a job description before we even start to advertise, I don't think it's necessary, to be honest with you. I think we can use whatever draft we want, but as we go along, because we're going to be hiring someone, I think the person that we hire, they may have some comments as well. Personally, I have never seen a job description this long.
It's long.
This is
long.
And generally it's much more. They're a little more general, and then in the contract you get into the specifics of it all. So I personally think it's best tonight to decide who we want to help us in the hiring, and then start to meet with those people with some of those things. That would be my idea. So having said that, in the job description, we're asking for a minimum of 5 years of experience. I think that is really, really wishful thinking for a small community like we have as a town manager. I think we should lower that standard, and maybe they're doing other things.
And there's some phrasing that is usually used commensurate with your experience.
Whatever it could be.
In that same area, do we really need to be specific to say we want a bachelor's degree in public administration or business management? Again, are we slicing it to?
Well, or we just can say a bachelor's degree probably is preferred, but just leave it. Whatever term we want to use.
Well, you have a note in there where equivalent additional experience may be substituted for a degree. So the help is already built in.
Oh, the third bullet point? Yeah. Well, Tom, I think you have a very valid point, and that's why we're here starting this discussion, because I would dare say this is new for the 5 of us who weren't involved with the previous search. So we have a chance to conduct a search to the best of our ability, knowing some of the characteristics of what we clearly want in the individual, as well as being cognizant of the pressures in the Upper Valley right now to hire town managers. What I'm familiar with in my past is that you have a short blurb for an ad.
Right.
And then the first thing that ad said, please request the full job description of this. Mm-hmm. and then you're off and running on that part. Jim, you've laid out a couple.
And Joe, I want to thank you for your work, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Randy and Clyde, do you feel maybe we should just go after, as with Jim and Tom, I believe, are saying, let's go after the search firm per se?
I'm hearing them say, well, I'm hearing Jim want to put this out, and Tom not so much. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I think they can be worked around.
Yeah.
I think we ought to agree that with the VLCT changes, we have a starting point for a job description.
Absolutely.
Right, because whatever search firm, if any, that we use, is gonna need that starting point.
Yeah.
We can circle back to it and make changes as needed, right, as we get deeper into the process.
Sure. And from the document that we're saying is the latest version that we received today, I think we should extract out of that what we feel are the important characteristics that in turn would go to an ad.
Yeah, and I think the search firm will help us develop the ad.
Sure.
So that's kind of their area.
They better at the cost that we
Yeah, exactly. And I do have good stuff, Sam, which
Can I
is
ask
not
a question?
copyrighted.
Is there a sense of immediacy? I mean, I don't want to see us rush to judgment, even though I get sort of an opposite opinion. But is there a rush to immediacy? Martin seems to be holding the fort very well. I just don't know.
Yeah, good observation, Dave. I mean, we here it is June 5th, and on April the 30th, we received a resignation from Dave. The intersection was our primary focus for tonight. We have to get going on the safety, so we need to get started on this. And I think, as people have said, if we go the route of hiring someone to facilitate the search, work with us or conduct the search, we don't know who's available. We got to get that started.
Phil, the reason I ask that is clearly it's basically law of supply and demand. As somebody said here, and the paper says there's a number of towns that are looking for management, including the other side of the river.
Yeah.
And I think the supply piece of it, educational background certainly should fit in. Like if you say 3 years, but somebody's got a master's in civics or whatever is related, you feel like you can be flexible. I don't know if I'm phrasing my question right. And I'll rephrase it. Is there a sense of immediacy, and is there a sense of flexibility as to qualifications?
So can I give my own 2 cents? So I think we'll continue to talk about qualifications and how we want to lower or raise the bar.
Yeah.
So that discussion can continue to happen. As a person who's hired a lot of people, I would say that you need to act quickly, deliberately, especially if you have a small resource pool and you're in competition with other towns. Right? And in July and August, people with jobs aren't generally looking for jobs. They're going on summer vacation. So if we don't act quickly, you could be looking at November, December before we get this job filled.
Thank you.
And it may be that we don't like any of the candidates,
And we're stuck with Mark.
Start all over again.
So, but we're just starting the process.
One left gateway and they phoned it,
Stop it.
So please use your networking skills to get the word out.
Don't overrate my networking skills, believe me. Third question.
Okay, I really don't know any of the players that Jim, you identified, and Tom, you've mentioned that you're familiar with one or two of them. Right?
Yeah, I know all of them.
So Jim, do you want to lead us through, I guess I'm looking at a document from May 31st, where you highlighted Abby Freeman, Municipal Resources.
My laptop is dead, so. Okay, so Abby Friedman is VLC too. She's not committing to having bandwidth right now, so she's got, it sounds like she's got one person. I can't, don't quote me on that because she may reach out to others, but that person's already engaged, and they have another pending contract that may or may not be signed yet. So Abby was reluctant even to send references because she wasn't confident that she could take the project down. But she did recommend the other two, right? And I spoke with Dominic Cloud, who did the recruitment for Woodstock, and he recommended Municipal Resources, Inc. So that was kind of an independent recommendation from the LCT, so I thought that somebody with his experience making that recommendation was helpful, right? And if you look at Municipal Resources, Inc., and I can't read the other one because my page is cut off.
Is it Municipal Management Services?
Right? The contracts are roughly, the services and prices are fairly close. The second entity allows add-on services to actually negotiate the contract, but I think we may be better off using our lawyer to go through that contract negotiation. So MRI, Municipal Resources, Inc. seemed like a good option. And they've done a ton of work in this area. So, their reference list and their town list is pretty extensive where they've done recruitments. Tom Innerl, has done a lot of acting town manager jobs or interim town manager jobs. And I think he's getting into the recruitment aspect of this at this point. So, not necessarily a bad option, but, I think MRI probably has more extensive experience. Now, I did check one reference that they both worked with. So Thetford used MRI twice and was very pleased with their recruitment process. They also had Tom working as their interim town manager during that recruitment process. So basically they're recommending Tom as an intern, but MRI as a recruitment firm.
So just get things started, I think we should not consider the LCT given their price. I think it's a lot of money for what we're gonna get.
Yeah, and their availability is sketchy.
Didn't have
Yeah.
the ability.
What are the biggest gains from going to a search firm?
Well, I mean, for, $5,000 to $7,000, they've got experience doing ads, they've got networks of people that, they can reach out to that may be interested. They've got experience screening resumes and looking for the right skill sets. We could do that, right? But, meeting 2 hours twice a month would take us a long time to try to get through those basic tasks.
To me, it's the first two things you mentioned that are the assets. Where to advertise, and possibly a networking list that they might have, and then what we've been venturing about is they're helping us to refine what the job ad would actually be.
And if needed, they can participate with the interview process, suggest questions, screening tools.
Yeah, I don't feel a real pressing need. I don't think this is a national search that's going to show up with 100 resumes that we need hours of screening time.
Based on my discussions, 5 years ago, you would have gotten 100 resumes.
I understand.
Today,
I've fallen asleep on my couch reading resumes.
Today, you're lucky to get 20, and you're lucky to get 3 or 4 qualified candidates.
Right. Yeah. So I don't, some of these firms were offering like an hourly service versus the flat rate, and that's one of the reasons I want to be clear about what we as a board are going after when we're looking at one of these firms. Report. Tom, what do you think? What are you?
So I've worked with MRI. They do a lot of work, but they're becoming more of a recruitment firm. So in full disclosure, I know Tom Yellow. I worked with him a lot when he was a Springfield town manager.
Is Tom the principal in the firm?
Tom, he's a one-person shop.
Okay.
And then I know Tom when he was working in Thetford. He's got a lot of experience as a town manager. And his very, very practical experience, and he was in Woodstock, and he was now in Thetford. He sort of has a really good understanding of what's happening in this area, and I think his pricing is fair. A lot of this stuff that they do is kind of boilerplate. They all sort of use the same ads and the like. I think what's really going to help us is the questions to ask candidates and to maybe even prepare us as far as what we might get for candidates. I agree wholeheartedly with Jim. With all the stuff we have going on, we just don't have time. I mean, it was heart-wrenching what we heard today about what happened on Marcusville Road. No response. We have to address our policing issue. To me, that's so critically important. So that's my thought.
Yeah. Mandy, what did you had a chance to go through this?
Yeah, and actually, as I was looking through all of them, I actually I liked the looks of Tom. Part of it was that he's local. He's from Vermont. New Hampshire's not that far away, but it looked like they were doing a lot with more New Hampshire and Massachusetts, which is a slightly different vibe than Hartland, Vermont, where he's local. He's a few times now.
MRI's got a pretty good list of Vermont towns as well.
Yep. Clyde, any thoughts?
Well, like Mandy said, if you've got somebody that's local, they have a feel of what you need more than someone from away has an opinion of what we need, and here's somebody who kind of knows what we need.
Part of my reaction reaction about the reading resumes and the interview process. I just shared with a search committee I'm on interview questions that I've been developing with other search groups, and they're generic in nature with specifics about the job. And again, I don't think we've received so many resumes and we can't read them. I certainly think we should go this route. And there's, I guess I'd like to talk with Tom and just sort of get a sense of, have you spoken with him? You have, and what is he suggesting he would like to offer? Is that what's written here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, there's two decent choices here, right? One of those choices, their bread and butter is recruitment. The other choice, their bread and butter is being a town manager in Vermont who's trying to get into the recruitment arena. Right? I'm not going to complain if we go one way or the other. I think we just need to decide, and we need to make a motion that the town manager start working on a contract, and I can assist with that process.
Any other thoughts? Are we ready to go with?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we hire, what's the name of Tom's?
Municipal Management Services.
Municipal Managers Services. And we invite him to our next meeting to discuss, or we have Hartland discuss contract terms, or I think to me, it seems like he'll either do a fixed price or he'll do an hourly rate.
I'm wondering if he would meet with us to, I mean, as you said, I think we could close our eyes and write that boilerplate that's already on there.
Right.
I'd like to get a sense of the scale.
Yeah, so let's say it's invited to the next board.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the option that we would go with, if we go with Tom, is that hourly rate not to exceed, right? In the first 6 items under his list of 10.
Okay, I think we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, that's that.
Okay. So can we just clarify the motion?
Yeah, he's doing some incredible research there.
At his rate of 65 an hour, I just did the math, so it's roughly 140 hours for $9,000. Or we can pay him on an hourly rate. Yeah, 65 divided to 9,000 divided by 60.
Yeah, so Tom, look at the second paragraph here, the short paragraph. We focus on that one.
Right.
So he's saying 65 an hour, not to exceed 4,000 for 136.
Yeah.
With additional costs for advertising.
Right.
And there will be an additional cost for background check. So my math brought that up to, for this package finder, and it's cut off. My math brought that up to, a max of 7.5K. So we can make a motion to, work with Tom to draft a contract not to exceed 7.5K, and we can talk to him about what services will be covered.
Do you want to restate your motion?
I think Jim just did a friendly amendment.
Oh, okay.
Cheyenne, did you get that?
Put that down in the hostile element.
Want to take a stab at reading it, Cheyenne?
So I have the motion that you made at first and then amended by Jim. Can you read the whole thing just so?
Or
Okay.
we'll restate.
Yeah, do you want to restate it just so that we're clear?
I'll make a friendly amendment to Tom's motion and suggest that we authorize our town manager to negotiate a contract with Tom Yano not to exceed $7,500 to do a recruitment search for new town managers.
To include the advertising and background.
Which includes advertising and background checks.
Yes.
All right, Brenda? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. I had thought we were going to ask Tom to come to a meeting to present himself.
Yeah.
Before we had a motion for entering into a contract. So that motion was basically saying, Tom, come to the meeting with this contract.
We'll negotiate a contract. Did I say negotiate? Yeah. The contract would have to be approved by this board when the time comes.
I think what he's saying is we want to invite him to come to the meeting with the understanding we potentially will offer him a contract for $7,000, and we would like to know what he will do for us. What will be the activities he will do for us with that amount.
I'm comfortable with that.
So that when he comes to the meeting on that Monday's meeting, we have all of the information and then we can make him.
I want to be able to yay or nay him and not prolong this longer.
So the way I would envision this is at that meeting, we would have a draft contract that Martin and I worked with him to get on paper. Right, he would come and explain the contract, what his services are, how he's gonna approach things, and we decide at that point whether we're gonna approve it.
And people can just ask him and see whether you like it.
Yeah.
Right, and if you don't like it, you don't sign the contract. Right.
Okay.
Does that make sense, though?
Yeah.
I'm a little queasy. Let's launch it. And I'm gonna check these references.
Oh, absolutely.
Before.
Yeah, and that's all gonna be subject to reference checks and so on and so forth.
So Phil, I did have a brief email from Sharon Harkey, that person, I'll forward everyone that email.
From Pepper, okay, please, Jim, that would be good. Okay, so we have the motion and second it, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay, any against? It's unanimous, okay. Okay, do we want to declare victory, or do we want to wade into the job description at this point?
Take a victory lap and.
Okay, let's do that. So we'll leave the job description as a work in progress at this point?
I would just suggest that we use that job description as a starting point with whoever we hire.
Or they're gonna make their adjustments to it.
Let's just have the final one that you sent out today when I haven't even looked at it.
Yeah.
So we'll just use that one.
Yeah, so I sent, just so you know when you open it, I sent you out Rita's, Jill Muir's feedback. So she edited the document, sent it to me, and then I sent you out a clean copy without all the markup that has all the feedback.
Okay. And it looks like it's 4 pages.
Yeah, it's still 4 pages. Yeah. I can make the font small.
I hear you. Okay. Then I think we are set to move on. Yes, okay. Morton, we're on for your update.
Yes. So I just wanted to send out a friendly reminder to our committees and commissions that the meetings need to be posted 48 hours in advance at Damon Hall Mike's Mobile, North Hartland Post Office, and since Hartland has a website, it has to be posted on the website, 48 hours. Please keep this in mind. If you need an emergency meeting, that's fine, you have 24 hours, but it's the exact same process. So I just wanted to remind our committees and commissions, please remember these rules for open meeting rules. And your minutes for each meeting, you have 5 business days, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. Let me take out the business. You have 5 days to get those to Brian to get posted. They're called draft minutes. They don't have to be edited. We need them within 5 days, please. Weekends do count. The fiscal year 2023 is coming to an end here on June 30th. I have reached out to all the departments, department heads, the committees and commissions. If they have any lingering expenses going into the invoices that we may not get in time, to just kind of give me a heads up of what's going on. The Ford 550 is back into action. It came back last week from Claremont. That transmission job would cost us $100 under warranty.
Great. Martin, is that the truck that has the grass seeder?
Yes, that's correct. That's the truck. So we have that back so they can lay, to keep the dust down when they grade the road.
No, what I was asking is, we have ditches that were dug that have not been seeded yet with grass seed.
Yes, that would be the one to do.
That would be the one as well.
Yep, okay. And I will touch, I'm glad, thank you for the reminder. I will remind Bill that we need to get the ditches. The GMC was delivered on May 31st with the plow and the sander. 7.5 foot plow. They've taken the sander out for the summertime.
Will that be in the parade?
We can make that happen. Doug Harrington's last day was actually June 1st. We as the town of Hartland would like to thank Doug for his 16 years and 7 months of dedication. We appreciate his endless hours of plowing, sanding, salting, and grading our roads, as well as the many years of maintaining the equipment for the town. We wish you the best on your new endeavor. The highway department is now down a man. We will move along with what the department can handle, and hope for the patience of the townspeople as we will do the best we can while we're down. We have advertised on Indeed. I've received 3 resumes. We're going to put it on AOT with the state of Vermont and see if we can grab anybody else. Unlike 2018 and 2019, where we got 30 to 40 resumes when we put this position out. So we are currently actively looking for a highway person, so we will see how that proceeds. John Paulette is our assistant town clerk and our ordinance officer. He does each job 20 hours a week. The ordinance officer he is stepping down from. I asked him if he'd be kind enough to give me 30 days. So June 30th will be John Paulette's last day as the ordinance officer. We will start looking for an ordinance officer probably in the month of July or August. Obviously, I want to get the highway up and rolling as soon as possible. Phil and I were looking to see how we can get an ordinance officer rehired. We have a select board meeting slated for July 3rd. I wanted to ask the board tonight if they wanted to change it to the 5th, since the 4th is a holiday.
That's a Wednesday or something?
Yes. So the July 4th is a Tuesday.
So, just like, what's the real holiday is the 4th?
That's correct, Tuesday the 4th.
So Monday is not a holiday.
Monday is not a holiday, but a lot of people take Monday off so they can have a long day, 4-day weekend.
And the parade and everything?
The parade is on
Tuesday?
schedule on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, yes.
That means you have to take another day off.
That means you take another day off. So I just wanted to see where the board was at for the first meeting in July.
I mean, I'm flexible. The Monday is an official work day, but if you guys want to move it to Wednesday, it's fine.
I wasn't sure if anybody's gonna be out of town or.
I think I am.
There's always one.
let's go with the July 5th if people are
I
going
don't have a
to.
preference.
July 5th? July 5th it is, thank you. And that's all I have that's all I have.
Martin, again, you and I have just spoken briefly, but will you have a job kind of exit interview with John to catch what he sees as the challenges that he's experienced with the ordinance position?
Absolutely, I'd be glad to.
And it would be, I think, useful for us to reflect on to see what we have going on.
Yes.
We also have a position that's ordinance / planning. So have we dropped the planning piece out of this position? No, I don't think so. I was on the Two Rivers website like this afternoon, and I realized they're searching for a planner right now. And I asked Rita, but I'll talk to Peter Gregory about this, that if they have any resumes of very junior people, or maybe we could potentially, get that resume.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm a little hesitant because I don't know who that person, if you have the capacity to sort of be working with a new planner, but I think it's something, an opportunity that we should work.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Let's just throw a couple of comments. One is, we had John working as a 3/4 FTE, right?
50.
Well,
25.
Didn't his hours increase when he took on additional
So
responsibilities?
we hired him as a part-time town clerk, so 20 hours a week.
Right, but when his role
When he became ordinance, we gave him 20 hours for that, so he was a full-time person, but it was half
So
and
now
half.
he's going back to half-time.
That's correct.
So the question becomes, did we include a full-time position in the budget for next year?
Yes, we did.
I thought we did.
Yeah, we did.
So we included 1.5 FTEs.
So we have John as a part-time town clerk, and we have an ordinance officer in the budget. Yes.
At 40 hours.
Yep. Yes, at full time. That's correct.
Okay. The second thing I just throw out to think about is, what does the town need the most? And I think, we need to do ordinances. We've got that responsibility. Planning, maybe. Grant writing, maybe. There may be more value in having that grant writing responsibility in that position.
Sure. But you're putting your finger on why I really want to have that discussion of the next responsibility of the next town manager.
Yeah.
Because I think if we are looking ahead, Mr. Ormston jumped us from one style of town manager to the style he had, and I think we're ready for argument again on that point.
Absolutely.
And I also saw in that job description, there's some duties of the town manager that actually an ordinance person could do, like floodplain management and things like that, health officer even maybe,
I think planning, that's why I was hesitant to sort of say, if someone walked into the office tomorrow, I'm not sure we're ready to hire that planner at this point.
Or we could hire him, but not give him a job description.
Duties as other duties. Okay, moving on. We had a Merritt Campbell request that we heard already from Martin, and what we need to do tonight is recognize that request and have a motion that we have actually approved it. I don't have the numbers here. I'll just pass this down.
Well, she ran away from that.
Okay. We did approve the 418.
Yes,
okay.
That's what the synopsis is.
So I'm looking for a motion to spend monies from the Merritt Campbell Fund in the amount of $418.88 for a town requester. Do I need to say what?
Merritt Campbell
Okay.
request.
I second that motion, or first, or whatever.
Okay. Okay, there's a second. I just made the motion.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. I can check right out.
Martin, is there any correspondence?
The only one I gave you was from Jim Rugg, to apply for the town manager position. So if we can add that to the resume when we start collecting them.
Sure. Okay. Okay, a big evening. There wasn't a large turnout for us for the discussion on the intersection.
Yeah, we were expecting.
I think each one of us needs to work as a bit of an ambassador, be able to listen to what's going on and bring it to Martin if we don't have a quick answer. But I do feel that my comments early on that we have a team with Martin, Rita, and Everett, but we really should be able to crack the correspondence and keep the town abreast. So that's it. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Right before, I got another request about somebody looking for a plot to bury a loved one. We have to straighten this out. I think now there's nearly a half a dozen people that would like to bury someone. And I know under the previous administration, it was difficult. So whether, and I don't even know for what we need to do. But
I was just gonna say, I think Tom was nominating himself to
no, actually, I
spearhead
was going to
this.
nominate Merritt Ryan.
Perfect.
You know, I just don't know where we're at on this and whether we want to try to make, I know we have a lot on our agenda, but
we've tossed this ball around before, and Mary was going to do a little bit of legwork. Clyde had a number of observations that kind of went with the geography and what's what, but I really think, I honestly don't know what the next step is. I realize there's technology to try to scan the areas. I have no idea if that's costly thing. Yeah.
I will,
who is the cemetery committee these days?
It's Bob Bibby, Witt, and who's up on this road?
Dan Merritt?
No, not Dan. You know what? Dan's been involved. No.
Oh, Jody?
No, his wife passed a number of years ago.
Richard Russo?
No. She's for the library.
Oh.
He was an airplane pilot.
Oh, Williams, Tom Williams.
Oh, Tom, yeah. I didn't realize he was involved.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But he's voiced interest.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well,
right. I'll work with Martin. I'll see what we can come up with.
and I'm wondering if we could make a call to, a personal call to Tom. I can call him up and try to form a new version of the cemetery.
Let's just, I think it might be helpful is we could give specific direction as far as what we need to do, because a couple of these people, the plots are either adjacent or on their own land, right? Like all of them, right? And the one on Conway Road.
Oh, the Walker Cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, their land surrounds it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somebody wants to do up on weed.
I mean, years ago, I don't know whether fruition would stop the Jakewood Cemetery up on Reeves Road, Reeves Morgan Hill. The abundant landowner donated his land so they could expand the cemetery.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, in some cases that would be a possibility to go to some, the tricky thing there was like up in the Gallup Cemetery, everything surrounding it's in current use, and it would require somebody to take land out of current use to donate, to expand it if they so desire.
Well, maybe it's just a simple matter of what is available.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And those where, let's start with where it's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know.
And then if we know, basically do a survey, and if we know this is closed, then we can sort of say, okay, that's closed, and we have that historical record.
Okay.
All right, we have numerous future agenda items. I will work with Martin and try to whittle this down to the second ones that are coming around that we need to get done for the next meeting. I think I'm hearing that we want to make sure that we launch the policing one, get going on that.
Yep.
I was stopped by someone. Oh, never mind. I went to everybody's stopping.
So I think what you're saying is,
okay,
Phil, we're gonna prioritize the list, right? But we should still keep the running list so we don't lose them.
Yeah, exactly. We won't be able to tackle them at one meeting, is what I'm saying.
Do you want me, on this Wednesday meeting, to share with you folks if anything comes of it, or not?
Yes.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Is there a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.